Hi, this is Kerry Artak with Wicked Stocks, bringing you your daily Tesla report for Friday, May 2nd, 2025. Let's take a look at the charts. I am going to start with this one. Convergent channels still exist in the upper 280s. We did close above these Tuesday, only to come falling back, gapping back below the formations themselves on Wednesday. We're still below them. In my book, a failure to follow through on such a classic buy signal as the horizontal 288.21 formation is in itself a sign of weakness. And so I think you can still play the staying short below the upper 280s, anticipating over the next several weeks the mid 210s. 216.83 is a newly formed channel bottom based in part on Monday's high. And I consider that to be a 2 to 3 week downside target. It's going to be an important day. I do want to bring in the triple Q a little bit. As I mentioned in a recent video, this is the weekly chart of the triple Q, the NASDAQ 100 ETF. Tesla is a big part of this index. This index has retraced back to its own significant long-term resistance. This is an area that I've been outlining on a daily basis in my daily triple Q analysis that you can find on wickedstocks.com. The 482.32, 487.93 area lines up well right now with what Tesla finds in the upper 480s. And so, for instance, if the triple Q were to close above 487.93, it is likely today that we will also close above 489.87. And while we're at it, I do want to throw in one other small level. That red line is 292.03. That is the high settlement price that was put out on Tuesday when we did close above this area. And you can see over to the upper right here, I have that as an intraday up pivot. Now, I do think that all we have to do is close above 289.87, and we're likely to continue on up, possibly by the end of May, to the 374.33 descending two-thirds speed line. But if you're looking for a little bit more reliability on the buy signal, after all, it was a bit of a head fake last Tuesday. A settlement today above 292.03 should do the trick, and I would say that would also be consistent with the triple Q closing today above 287.93, which would indicate bullish continuation for that index through the month of May. I have targets outlined for that in my daily triple Q analysis. Until then, this is short setting territory for the triple Q, and it coincides well right now with short setting territory in the upper 280s. So let's work downside today. I do have 267.09. That is a descending channel bottom, able to contain session weakness. If we close below 267.09, 254.56 is likely on Monday. 50% downside retracement over the last month, also able to contain session weakness. It is very stair-step down to 216.83. But if you're a 2 to 3 week swing trader, you can stay short. If you are now below the upper 280s, 288.21 to 289.87, anticipating 216.83 over the next 2 to 3 weeks, where profits can be taken on a short position and long entry, anticipated at 216.83. We could round back up into the upper 280s again within 2 to 3 weeks. It would be, over the next couple of weeks, a settlement below 216.83 that would then set up a test of long-term support. And I want to call it ultra long-term support because this is the weekly chart. It is a 5-year channel bottom at 156.77 to 162.87. I would consider this area a 2 to 3 week target if we were to close below 216.83. That 156.77 to 162.87 area, able to contain annual lows. We could round up from there into 2026. So this is a big area of support. And, there is a certain case to be made that holding below the upper 280s will keep the mid 150s, low 160s in reach over the next couple of months. But in terms of a clarifying sell signal where it is really underscored as a target, that would come with a settlement below 216.83. If you're short in the upper 280s now, 3 to 5 day swing traders may consider lightening up at 267.09 because we could rebound from here within 1 to 3 days back into the upper 280s. If we close below 267.09 and you're a 3 to 5 day swing trader and you're short, it really is stay short, at least at 254.56, where you can scale out of your short position to some extent. Ultimately, 2 to 3 week swing traders are short right now, anticipating 216.83. Now for the upside, and I did cover it a bit already, but I just want to remind you that if we do close above the 289.87 level, and that could also be, you might wait for the settlement above 292.03. I see the 351, well, that's the wrong chart. Let me go back to this chart. 319.02 likely next week. This is a 3 to 5 day target. So if we close above 289.87, if you want to add a closing above 292.03 into the mix, don't have any problem with that. Within 3 to 5 days, we should see 319.02, which is an upside 3/8 Fibonacci, can contain daily buying pressures, possibly into later next week. But overall, I see 374.33 as a 3 to 5 week target. And if we were to close above 319.02, and I don't have them both in the same chart, but if we were to close in the next week or two above 319.02, and that's right about here, then I would expect 351.39 within another week or two, etc., on the way up to 374.33, descending 2/3 speed line, able to contain monthly, possibly quarterly buying pressures when tested. And it is expected if we close today above 292.03. Actually, it's expected if we close above the 289.87 level. Is there anything else for me to say? I know that we had like the low of the high, and I think that was the 272.42 level, but we're going with 267.09 now because it's a very well-defined descending channel bottom, and this may well contain today's lows, and we could bounce from here for a day or two back into the upper 280s. Closing below 267.09 you could actually consider this sort of a secondary sell signal on weakness. So if you're selling the upper 280s, you might sell more below 267.09 if that does not violate your risk management or your trade execution rules. Some of you don't like to sell on strength, and that's understandable. You like to sell on weakness, and if you're like a 3 to 5 day out to 2 to 3 week swing trader, if you're reluctant to sell the upper 280s on strength, then 267.09 settlement below is your next opportunity to sell on weakness, and that would clarify, I think, 216.83 as more of a 1 to 2 week objective. I think that pretty much rounds it out. I am going to be putting a video out here, you might probably by Friday morning, on the Russell 2000, IWM. I think it's worth watching now, and I'll give you all the reasons why in that particular video, but I just wanted to give you the heads up that will be coming out. I think that pretty much rounds it out. Please click like, share, subscribe. Check out wickedstocks.com. That's what I forgot to do, is to tell you that in the last couple of weeks, we put out stock picks on DoorDash, Robinhood, Broadcom, Rubrik. They're all relevant still. You can see them for free by taking advantage of our 5-day free trial, in which you'll also see our daily Triple Q and our daily SPY analysis, weekly Apple stock analysis, etc., etc. So check it out at wickedstocks.com. I'll be back Sunday afternoon with Monday's Tesla, and you have a great weekend.